Not the usual voice you would hear at this time. Chioma Izinwafo is unavoidably absent, and I am standing in for her for today. My name is Dennis Walu, one and only of Nigeria Info FM. How's your Wednesday afternoon going? Yeah. How you doing? What's popping? How's lunch, by the way? What's the time? Yeah, it's past 2, so you should have had lunch. Or is the inflation inflating you? I don't know. Today, our focus is going to center around inflation, but most importantly, navigating through the current inflation rate. You see, it's one thing for us to scream and holler and murmur and compare, do some comparison and contrast between how things were and how things are currently. But you see, none of those things help in the long run. You know, they say Nigerians, we are resilient, and sometimes it begins to seem as though our resilience is both a strength and a weakness, causing us to adapt to unbearable situations and consider it a norm. After all, Nigeria must survive. Now, earlier this month, I'm talking about Nigeria Info FM, did a survey at major markets in Port Harcourt. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reel out what the survey had stated then. It's not any different from what it is now, because that particular survey is going to serve as the foundation for our conversation today. And by the way, it's no news anymore that a tuber of yam, a very tickling, tiny tuber of yam, costs 4,000 naira. So you see, some of those things that you consider as quick meals, go-to meals, are considered luxury at the moment, and it's for those who can afford it. Even Gary, who knew that common Gary will be elevated to the position it currently occupies, costing around 4,000 plus a rubber. You see how it is. So look at staple foods. They rose by over 100% in May as compared to prices before the President Bola Tinubu administration came on board. The survey included foods like local rice, tomato, beans, gari, among others. The cost of a 50 kg bag of rice rose by 97.5% year on year, from 40,000 naira in 2023 to 79,000 in 2024, while a cup of rice rose by 125% from 200 naira in 2023 to 450 in 2024. The cost of rubber of beans rose from 2,000 to 6,500, and a cup rose from 230 to 450. There's also a 25-liter of groundnut oil surged by 58.8%, rising from 34,000 in 2023 to 54,000 in 2024. A liter of groundnut oil rose from 2,000 naira to 3,300. For palm oil, a liter, which was sold for 1,000 in 2023, is now selling for 1,500, and half a liter for 750. A custard rubber of crayfish now sells for 8,000 naira. Gari prices have also risen, with a custard rubber rising from 800 naira in 2023 to 4,000 naira today. Half a rubber from 400 to 2,000, and a cup currently at 450. Tomatoes also jumped from 3,000 naira per custard rubber to 8,500, and half a rubber for 4,500. Now, as at Sunday, that custard rubber is now being sold at 9,000 naira. So you see, every day we see new things, new prices. So guess what? Those of you who are in the habit of writing a list, crayfish 100 naira, salt 50 naira. You may need to stop doing that. Just go there with money. Whatever the thing can buy, it's going to buy it. That's the current reality. I mean, yesterday I was craving porridge beans, and I searched the whole of my area for plantain. 3 fingers cost 8,000 naira. Small things like banana, the sizes of banana, and fresh pepper of 500 naira now is what we used to buy 100 naira before now. Okay, what about eggs? Rising from 2,000 naira to 4,500 a crate, and a single egg selling for 200 naira. What about gadgets? Laptops, mobile phones. If you have bought any recently, you would know that the price more than doubled. I'll give you a practical example. I bought a mobile phone in April, 87,000. No, May, beginning of May, 87,000. I went back to buy that same phone for someone else, and it was being sold at 107,000 naira. Just between a space of how many weeks? And then there's dollar to think about. Electronics, those of you that like flat screen, how many inches? Smart. This was smart TV. You like Bluetooth speaker, you like to be doing bing 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 bing, yes, you're hearing music. All of those things. It's funny. Toiletries, your hygiene as a human being is important. Your bathing soap, your toothpaste, your deodorant, toilet roll, wipes, all of those things. Baby things are not left out. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're planning to have a child this year or next year, make plans for it. Baby things are also rising. Their food, their diaper, their wipes, anything around the baby collection is expensive. And then you say you want to buy a car, you want to roll with the big boys, you're tired of hopping vehicles, you're tired of using the e-hailing services. The cars that were sold as a 2020 for maybe 1 million are going for as high as 7.5 million naira at the moment. It's a lot for us to process. But you see, in the midst of all of this, I've come to discover there are some people that are unperturbed, cannot be bothered, are still living their lives. They are not having heart attack. They are not racking their brains all the time. Nothing has really changed in their house. The children haven't noticed that we don't used to eat egg the way we used to eat egg before. They've still found a way around it. They're still being able to navigate. And even though there's going to be some form of adjustment, they're not as bothered as some people who would wake up in the morning and have to think and do something like this. Their neighbors greet them. I'm greeting you. Sorry. I was lost in thought. Some people have been able to crack the code around some of these things. And that is why one of those persons is in the studio with me. She's a personal finance coach. She is none other than Tobore Olumoye. Good afternoon to you and welcome.
Good afternoon.
Why are you laughing?
I don't understand this setup. Which one is I have cracked the code? And
you see now you that is personal finance coach. You're somehow I mean, there's something you know that we don't know. You're gonna teach us. You're gonna help us.
Oh, fellow Nigerians, don't mind Denise. I feel it as well. I feel the pinch. I don't look like I feel it. I think I am kind of calm because I knew it was going to happen.
Oh.
We always prepare for the worst case scenario. As personal finance coaches or financial planners, we prepare, we plan, we teach, we warn, we admonish about the tidal waves. The good days will come, but they will roll by. The bad days will come, and guess what? They will also roll by. So when the good times roll, we don't also look like we're having a good time.
Why does this remind me of 7 days of plenty, 7 years of plenty,
absolutely.
And then 7 years of famine?
Yeah.
That dream Joseph had.
Oh, now they've added extra year.
And they have to save during the years of abundance to be
Absolutely.
able to survive the years of famine.
That's right. But you see, with Nigerians, we always believe that things are bad. And the truth is, even when we're in plenty, we think things are bad. But now we're beginning to realize that those days we thought things were really bad, they were not as bad as we claimed they were. I hate to say, because whenever I sound like this, people ask me, Toba, I hope you are not saying that things can get worse. But the truth is, we don't know. Things can get worse. So what I have been able to do, and what I teach people in my space to do, is prepare. Prepare as though these were your best years. Just prepare as though these were your best years, and the years ahead will be tougher. If you do that, when the tough times roll by, somehow you will keep your head afloat. You will keep your head above water. You will feel it, but you will not drown. That's the truth. Unfortunately, a lot of people have not learned to do those, and I hope we'll be able to talk about if you we've talked about a few of those points today.
Now, from experience, I mean, you have seen better days as a finance coach. And I'm sure whatever you do doesn't come cheap for your clients and all, but that's not what you're going into. Experience with people who have sought your service. What would you rate as their level of preparedness?
It's not just the people who have sought my services. Almost every Nigerian living in Nigeria's preparedness is sub-zero. Most Nigerians are simply not prepared. It's not in our DNA. We are ballers. Nigerians are happy people. We defer thoughts of evil. In fact, we bind.
God forbid.
We bind them. I've been bound so many times. I told my husband, this cold, I've had a perennial cold. We've tried to trace it, we've tried to treat it, but I suspect that people are calling my name in different places. And I keep sneezing. So somehow, Nigerians have not cracked the code. Even those who come to me, even those who have been with me for a while, we just believe. Somehow we have this, have the saying that hope springs eternal. That's the hope of the Nigerian. We just do not want to agree that things are very bad and things can get bad, and we should start bracing up for it. Every Nigerian believes we go run and foreign, God will do it for us. Somehow we'll be all right, even when it's obvious that we are not all right.
I'm sure you're fully aware Labour has been in talks with the federal government on a minimum wage. Now let's go back in history. 30,000 naira currently. Yet we had states that were unable to pay minimum wage. Labour is asking for an amount that seems not feasible by every standard. Seems. Because in a way, it's quite possible. I mean, some states, I saw something some time ago, some states have been able to say, this is what we as a state will be able to afford. And, some states up the ante, they, went above and they say, oh, this is what we can do. And I know that some states on their own, without waiting for Labour to come up, have, in their wisdom, gone back to the drawing board and said, you know what, we're going to top up. All right? Yeah. It's not happening in the private sector as much. Although, when all of these started, I knew of some banks, remember it was in the news, that increased the salaries of their staff members. That was in the private sector. Everybody feels or think that when you earn higher, maybe some of these things will not be a problem. And that is why I'm asking you this question. Would an increase in one's earning help our purchasing power? I mean, you can imagine how you crave. Let's not even go to cravings now, but you say you want to eat a egusi soup. And egusi soup, I'm using relatable things to the average Nigerian. Let's not start talking about those big things. Anybody that wants to crave shawarma and pizza and all that, you're on your own. Nobody sent you message. But you see, you want egusi soup. And your standard egusi soup will have shaki. It will have cow head. It will have stockfish. It will still have smoked chicken, and all of those things. And now people are realizing that I can actually do without eating all of these things. Ice fish, shiny. If I just do it in a certain way, I put it inside the soup, all of us are going to survive some way, somehow. I mean, large families, small families, single people that are living alone, people that are... Would it help when you earn more?
So, Denise, it's always going to be a chicken and egg thing. Does increase in wages aid and abet inflation? On paper, it does. The truth is, when the woman who is selling pepper by the side of the road hears that government has increased minimum wage, what that translates to her is, I have the liberty to adjust my prices. Because for her, she's her own minimum wage reopener, she's her own minimum wage employee and employer. And she doesn't see why she shouldn't increase, because your purchasing power has increased. She believes that the man who is selling rice will increase his as well. And she wants to be able to afford to go back to the market to buy rice after selling her pepper. So it has a crazy ripple effect on the economy. But are you going to say you will not increase wages? You cannot say that, because the 30,000, when I hear 30,000 minimum wage, my brain shudders because I don't understand what it means. For a man alone to survive on 30,000 does not make sense. But you see, men, children, wives, able to survive somehow, it simply tells me that they are all living below the poverty line. It's always going to be a fight. Labor is always going to demand increases in wages. Government is always going to, what's the word now, fight back, repel, resist. Because the minute you start, you cannot reverse it. And the ripple effects are usually catastrophic. So it's something you have to balance it out. But I'm going to say to anyone listening today that even if they were to double the wages, which they won't, even if they were to, it still will not take you out of poverty. Because if you're earning 60,000 a month as a family man and it moves to 120,000, you are still, that's less than $100 a month. You are still poor. Telling me therefore that salary increase will not solve the problem. So I can't help government and labor at this point.
Can't help government and labor at this point. Okay. So wage increase is not going to help.
But it must happen.
But it must happen.
It must happen. We really cannot. 30,000 is unfair and unjust.
Let's talk about money. That currency. Kudi, Ego, EY, Ibigi in my place. That legal tender.
That's right.
For purchasing things, whether you choose to transfer it to anybody's account or you choose to hold it cash. Yesterday I had to buy money with money, courtesy of POS. Well, let's not talk about that. How can our money be protected during the current inflation? I say this because 10 million naira in 2010 seemed like a lot of money. You were a millionaire. You could do anything. Buy a car, throw a party, have a wedding of your choice, even build a house. It depends. Small bungalow, 2 rooms, 1 portable parlor, 2 toilets or 3 toilets. You were living large. Fast forward to 2015. Not the same value. All right? 2015, the dollar was between 180 naira to 200 naira, right? Fast forward to 2024, still 10 million naira. Would you consider the person with that amount as a big boy now? Because it seems like it's same money, same amount, but what it can buy, its value has greatly reduced. How can we protect our money?
Okay, so this is where I speak a bit different from what a lot of people say, and this is where I preach a bit different. And I'm going to say this to everyone listening today. You need to begin to move from looking at inflation as your enemy. That's not popular opinion, but it's the truth, and that's what will save you at times like this. The only set of people who have a legit excuse to scream about inflation, I say this all the time, are those with fixed incomes. If you have a fixed income, inflation is your enemy, and you cannot beat inflation if you're in Nigeria. You just cannot. Because now we're having headline inflation at 30%, heading towards 40%. You can't fight it. No safe, sane investment will match it. Meaning, therefore, you need to find another way to earn. That is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. How you do it is another conversation. So, here's what I preach. And it's crazy, but it's the best way. As at the time you were earning 100,000 naira a month, you were saving 10,000 naira a month. When your salary moved, because salaries move, when your salary moved from 100,000 a month to 250,000 naira a month, you kept saving 10,000 naira. Now, inflation has caught up with your 10,000, but you have not adjusted your savings. So your savings were, for instance, those who do contributory savings, they don't increase their savings, but the earnings increase. They make more money from tips, they make more money from bonuses, company bonuses, but they don't increase savings. So here's what we teach in personal finance. As hard as it is to practice, but it is what will save you, because the tough days will come. What we preach is your savings must increase with earnings, irrespective of inflation. Now, how you save is dependent on you and your earning power. For instance, if you earn in naira and you don't earn enough naira, it will be counterproductive for you to convert your naira to the dollar to save. Because remember, when you've moved it to dollars, the interest rates on ROI diminishes significantly. But if you earn more, you can earn more as ROI in naira. So we are saying to you that when your earning is increasing, you must increase your savings. In fact, even if your earning is not increasing, you must not tamper with your savings. You must make more money and ensure that your savings match inflation and match your future expenses, so that your future will be brighter than your present. Do you understand what I'm saying? Meaning that even if you're earning 200,000 today, let's say you earn 100,000 today and you're saving 20,000. When you earn 200,000, don't be in a hurry to increase your expense. Think about increasing your savings first. So move your savings to 60,000 before you know that, oh, I now have 140,000 as my true income. But what most people do is the 100,000 moves to 200,000, but they leave the savings at 10,000 naira. And then 5 years down the line, they start screaming. You can't scream because you didn't increase your savings. Remember that what you are doing there is savings. It's not investment. Do you understand? So that money is for safety. That money is a nest. It's not supposed to make a lot of money for you, but it's supposed to protect you for times such as these. When we now have conversations around investment, it's a different topic. Because when your earnings increase, remember that at a time like this, where we have uncertainties, where we have all of the crisis in the economy, what you should be thinking about is how to double and triple your earnings, because that's what inflation is doing to your cost. It's increasing your cost. So you must think about earning more. You cannot be thinking about saving that money you earn, because it's not even enough. So you must think of earning more while increasing your savings contribution. That's a lot of things to think about, but that's why you are called an adult. That's why you are the man of the house. You are the mommy. You are the CEO. For times like this, if everything were to be happening well and smooth, then we don't need a CEO. Any staff can do the job. But at times like this, we are now called to do that is extraordinary. And guess what, Denise? If you do it, when the tough times come, you will have a buffer, you'll have a cushion. It is tough, it's not what we want to hear. Everyone wants to hear, oh, don't save in naira, save in dollar. But can you buy the dollar? You cannot buy it. You are earning 200,000. You can't convert to dollar. And even if you do, you will keep it at a loss in the bank, because the banks will charge you for keeping the money with them. Except you want to invest. For you to be able to invest in, say, the Euro bond, for instance, you must be doing at least $10,000. The people who have $10,000 to save are not shouting about inflation. They're not shouting about egusi soup and okra soup. That's not their problem. They're facing bigger issues. For you and I, who are bothered about the quality of our soup, how many eggs we crack for breakfast, we are not the ones that are exchanging the dollar. For us, we want to stay alive. We want to keep our head above water. So our conversation will be different. And that is the reality on ground. Are we ready to listen to it? Not really. Many Nigerians just want you to come and give them hope. There's no hope at this time. Let's leave hope first and do the work. Then hope will come.
Interesting. If you're just joining us, welcome to the conversation. You have been listening to Tobore Olumoye, personal finance coach. And she's here for a reason. And that reason is navigating through the current inflation rate. Now, the economists will always have their theories, their narratives, their hypotheses. They'll come up with explanations as to why things are the way they are. And some of those things may sound like jargons to our ears. They may not serve as quick solutions to our current problem. And that current problem is how we go by every day, knowing that things are not the way they used to be. And what we have in our pockets may not be able to afford much. Hence, we need someone that can explain to us from our level, seeing things at the level that we are. Let them be tackling gross domestic
Future value, present value.
Let them be tackling how they want to bring in investors into the country and all of that. This one, we're not saying that it's not important, don't get me wrong. But you see, this one, we all can relate with. Let us see how we can help ourselves at least. That is why I'll be opening the phone lines shortly to take some of your thoughts and questions. I see some of your messages already on WhatsApp.
So Dennis, I'm sorry to interject. I just wanted to say something, and you raised an important point. I want to encourage Nigerians. This is not the time to focus too much on the things you do not have control over. You really do not have control over inflation, and that's the truth. It's beyond you, but you do have control over your personal economy, and I think that's where we should focus our conversation on today.
Okay. I'm seeing some messages. Hi, Didi, please, what do you call money in your local language? Thanks, from Body. I said it, Ibigi. That's money. And Nembe. Good afternoon, Didi and the guests. To some capitalists, inflation means appreciation of capital, and it's not that bad. Eric Chooks, please pronounce my name as presented. All right, noted. 0817 923 002 and 0817-923-0003. Now, this question you already answered about savings, but how about investments? Let's be honest with ourselves. There were some investment companies that existed before now, and the people are still crying that when they've gone, they went away with their money. I'm not talking Ponzi schemes now. I'm talking about some investments. Yes. These days, there are people that are looking for people to invest in agriculture. There are people looking for people to invest. The stock market as it is, not many Nigerians have understood that they can actually buy shares from some companies, and over time they will become shareholders because the shares will appreciate, and then there are bonds and some other things. So let's take this call from Barine, and then let's come to how maybe we can leverage on investments to help. Who knows? Barine from Thai, how are you doing today? Good afternoon to you and welcome.
Wow, so great, Dennis. Afternoon to a great analyst in the studio with you there.
Good afternoon.
Inflation. You know, this forces is so much in control that the economy, everybody now is complaining day in, day out. And haven't heard from the analysts that even if the wages is being increased, you know, people will feel excited, think their salary has risen, not knowing that that thing is just on paper. Because the purchasing power, what it will buy to sustain the standards of living is becoming so low. And as well, I want to ask the analyst there, in what way do we think that the professional advice, the efforts they are making, would be very effective such that inflations can be reduced? And also you should also look a way of at least how substitution should be made. If substitution is made, what will be the advanced level of at least controlling this inflation?
All right, thank you, Barry. Do you understand? When he says substitution, I just remember that some people are substituting tomatoes with cucumber.
See, so I'm going to just say this to everyone who is distracted by inflation. What I teach my people in my community is don't be distracted. Just focus. You have your numbers. Focus on getting those numbers. Leave inflation for those who can control it, and they know the tools to do. See, in Nigeria, if you want to fix inflation, we know what to do. It's about the political will. It's about the forces of demand and supply. It's about productivity. It's about how much we can actually create as a country. But you and I know we don't have that control. How do you ensure that you eat tomorrow? Dennis, September is coming, and for every parent
school
on this
fees,
call,
school fees.
I want to remind you, September is coming, and these guys are not joking. You see all those things you did last year. You had PTA meetings. They managed you, petted you till till May. Graduation next week, 2 weeks time, 3 weeks time. When you come back, many schools are not going to open their doors to you to get your kids into those schools if you do not pay. because all those things people did last year, they've not forgotten and they've not forgiven. Brace up. So the conversation you should be asking today is, while the government and those in power are fighting to bring down inflation and do the right thing if they can, if they will, if they want to, what can you do? And it's the flip side of what I had said earlier, that the only people who have a right to really cry about inflation, and I will believe them, are those with fixed income. But the other group of people are the ones benefiting from inflation. They are the ones driving inflation to 100%, 200%. A woman goes to the farm and harvests a bag of potatoes. Her total input in the farm was 10,000 naira. But as she has harvested enough potatoes to sell at 100 naira or 100,000 naira and make tons of profit. But no, she's saying she will sell the bag of potatoes at 500,000 naira. She has unilaterally moved her inflation to 5,000% on her own. And she thinks that somehow the larger economy is not affected. Oh, it is affected. We are all contributors, all of us who sell. And that brings me to the other part of the equation. If you are in this country and you are not benefiting from inflation, that's the conversation you should start asking and having with yourself. How do I start benefiting from the inflation side of the equation?
We'll come to all of that. Okonkwo has been waiting patiently from Umukuta. Hi, Okonkwo. Go ahead quickly.
Good afternoon.
All right, good afternoon, Okonkwo.
Yes, I disagree with our guest in the studio there. My reason number one is that for any economy to grow and for the citizens of that economy to be rich and wealthy, there must be constant life, and which we don't have today. Number two, for the citizens of an economy to succeed, then there must be fuel. And unfortunately, people that were using fuel to manage their businesses, they have increased the fuel up to 800 naira to 900 naira per liter. And today they are no more able to provide.
I think the network disconnected him. You react to him, but after this call from Don, we lost the call with Don. So go ahead. So for him, there must be lights, there must be fuel, and everything will be okay.
Well, I'm not sure about that. I really wanted him to end the question because I wanted to see the correlation between wealth and power, and except you're in production. Yeah, you can't be talking about fuel in the economy we are looking at in the future. We are going green anyway, where we can't be talking, except he means power. We're not talking fossil fuel anymore, Mr. Okon. I really wanted him to end the question so I could see what. So let's watch and see.
Okay, so now let's move on to investments and how they can help. And then after that, what specific things can we as individuals do to navigate inflation? And now you pointed out something. You said there are people that are actually benefiting from inflation currently. I'd like for you to throw more light on that as well.
All the traders, people who are selling, people buying and selling, they are benefiting from inflation. You go to their shops. They are the ones who buy a cup of rice at 1,000 and sell at 2,000 in the city and sell at 1,500 in the villages. Anybody selling, anybody in the buying and selling space is benefiting from inflation. Why do I say that? Because they control their pricing. And that's a big issue with us in this country.
But some of them would argue that it is not them controlling the pricing. It is dollar.
Everybody complains
it's
about
dollar.
Yes.
Imports, clearance at the wharf and all of those
we
things.
know the stories. Even the lady who is selling banana will tell you it's dollar, even though she has no business with dollar. So that's the thing. We all look for someone else to blame. And that's why I'm saying try not to focus on the words flying around. People contributing to the inflation are not even aware that they are contributing. The woman selling pepper is saying it's just pepper. It's not affecting the whole Nigeria. It's not oil. The one selling oil is saying, look, it's not us, so it's the international market. International market to say, look, it's not us, it's war. War, we say, look, it's not us, it's peace accord. So everyone has someone else to blame. And if you keep listening to the words, the reason I'm here today is just to tell us, if you keep doing that, evening will come and morning will come another day and you won't have done anything. Your economy won't have improved. You need to start asking yourself, how do I distract myself from these things all of these noises? How do I begin to change my own economy while we leave those who have the power and the impact to do their thing? What can I do? Because that's where we are now. We can sit here, I can start reeling out numbers and policies and what the economics textbook says, and then I will go. But nothing has changed. Even you can stay here listening, and what would sound very nice and highfalutin, nothing would have changed. But until you begin to take specific actions, what one step can I do? For instance, how do I like the word substitution. I don't know if that's what he meant. How do I substitute egusi soup, which is melon soup for those who don't know, with okra, which used to be the most affordable soup? How do I increase the dosage of pepper, which is a strategy I use in my soup to reduce the amount that is consumed? How do I begin to boil water to fill my bottles and put in the refrigerator to reduce how much I spend on bottled water? How do I control my costs within my circle? How do I begin to raise a vegetable garden? Denise, if you see the amount of yam we harvested from a very small patch of land in my backyard, the amount of pawpaw, the amount of pumpkin leaves, that's the ugu. I didn't even know cocoa does very well. My cocoa tree is fruiting and getting ripe. You can do so much more. But what exactly are we doing? It's easy to sit and complain and hope and pray and wish. Those are easy things, but you must begin to take one step at a time.
Eze Ken from Ubi Mini, how are you doing today? Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Didi.
Good afternoon, Eze. How are you doing?
I'm cool.
Talk to
greetings to your guest.
Good afternoon.
I have a question. According to your guest, she said that every farmer or everybody that does with buying and selling is a beneficiary to the inflation. Now, I sell a basin of dare in the cost of 15,000 naira. Going to the market with this 15,000 naira, I can't buy what of that 15,000 naira. Am I a beneficiary to that?
Okay, so what do you now do when you find out that? Because you increase your price, right?
No, I don't increase my
So
price because of the cost in the market.
Okay.
I don't do that.
So how do you buy? How do you restock?
I'm calling from Ubunmi.
Okay.
But in my market days or on my market days, whatever the price is, that is what everybody will sell or will buy. So instantly, you can't increase your price unless in another day or on another market day.
Exactly, but you will increase your price almost immediately. Unlike the man who is earning a salary, he cannot increase his own. That's the point I'm trying to make. Do you understand?
Madam, I want to concur to one of the caller who was talking about the provision of fuel supply and the power supply before he was interrupted by the service provider. I believe that if not the scarcity or the high price of these our common commodity known as petrol, I believe that for me to sell a basin of garri 15,000 naira, I should have bought something worth and regard value more than that 15,000 naira because of let me say those who are transporting their goods to my market.
Okay. We got you. We're running out of time at the moment, so I'll leave you to react to that quickly.
Yes, I agree totally. And that's part of what I'm saying. It's beyond your control. We can sit here and reel them out. Why don't we have an effective railway system in Nigeria? Why are our waterways not working? There are cheaper, more efficient ways to move things from the farm to the market. And the farms are not even safe. There are many, but we cannot keep responding. My question today is, what can you do immediately to keep your head above water?
Budgeting. A lot of people, a lot of experts, economists will always say budgeting. Yeah, why? We have spontaneous spenders. There's no money, there's no money, there's no money. I have this fine earring for you. See, it will mark your skin. Check it. It's your size. I see the thing where it match your color. Some they look, some they buy.
I did tell you.
They've bought. There's no money, they have bought. And by the time they go back, say, what did I even buy? Say, I just spent 20,000 naira buying
nothing.
They've not eaten. Does budgeting still help, or would it still count for something now?
Oh, Dennis, I am in fact, I am an apostle of budgeting. I am the budgeting expert. In fact, it is my budget that's made sure that while people are screaming, I am just calm. I'm not happy. I'm not excited. I am deeply depressed. I am deeply upset. But I am calm because I have a budget. Because my budget determines what I will spend. And I obey my budget. In fact, my budget is my guiding light. What my budget says I have is what I have. But I see people who constantly adjust their budget.
Padding.
Yes, they keep adjusting it. Price of Gary has moved on. So you are increasing your expense.
Yes.
If you do that, you will never have anything for tomorrow. And today is the tomorrow that we refuse to save for yesterday. So why are we shouting? That's the problem. And tomorrow is yet to come. So your budget says to you, in fact, if you use a proper budget, and the templates there are different types of templates. I see some people, their budget is to use buy paper, right, cancel. I don't go pay 50,000, I go cancel down to 25,000. If that's your budget, you have not started. If you use the right budgeting template and the tools abound, you will first of all put in reserves before you will see what you really earn. For example, and I'll just make this brief. If you earn 500,000 naira as salary, understand that 500,000 to you is revenue. It is not your profit. It is not your income. It is revenue. So you need to move funds aside, and what is left is what is your true income.
True income. Final message. Putting more money on increasing salary won't bring down inflation. In fact, it will make inflation go up. Countries like China, that inflation is 0.33%. What we see there is massive production. Even what they import, absolutely, they rebrand it and export it again. That saved their currency and made it stronger. If we produce and not import everything, boosts the local economy. Imagine if Davido's marriage was done in Bori. The massive economy it would have done to local economy. People would have money to produce more. Ernest from Woji.
Absolutely. We know the solutions. That's why I keep saying the government knows what to do.
Final words from you. We have to go.
So I'm going to say to everyone out there, please keep your head above water. Try not to get involved in the arguments and the conversations. Find out what you can do to improve your own economy. And believe me, you will be all right.
Multiple streams of income, people.
Absolutely. I earn from like 14, 15 streams. It's the only way. There's no other way. There's no shortcut. And each stream has work that it is going to do. So the streams don't come and you think there's a lot of water. No, as the stream is coming, we're diverting it to go solve the problem it's meant for.
Thank you so much for your time, Tobore. Look forward to having more conversations with you on this said matter, or maybe subsequent matters it concerns financial planning and coaching. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
I'm super grateful. And that brings us to the end of Talking Figures today. I gotta go. 3 o'clock we'll have Rivers Today, and thereafter Hat Facts with Kalada Korubat. But in the meantime, follow us on X at Nigeria Info PH. Our Facebook page is Nigeria Info 92.3 page. If you missed a part of the conversation, you can go back and watch it on all our social media platforms, on Threads and Instagram at Nigeria Info FM_PH. Follow me on Instagram and X at _Denise_Dennis. Follow my Facebook page, Denise Dennis, and my Facebook account, Denise Dennis Walu. Do enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be back here tomorrow on the sunny side. Adios.
Oil and gas, forex, fiscal policy, business and the economy, it all comes down to